back to episode 8 of the Simulator Chat series. Just wanted to start this series, or this episode of the series, off by mentioning, again, like last episode, I did have a mic set up that I had connected to my shirt when I was playing this round. So you might hear some additional background talking from me in the actual video. So you can just ignore that. I use a mic because I was getting copyright strikes because the simulator plays music, and the music's pretty loud at times, and it picks up on the camera for my phone, or I'm using a GoPro for the episodes for the Simulator Chat series, and then I just use my phone to film TikToks and YouTube shorts. But I wanted to go with the mic because it blocks out the noise, and I figured, why not try talking a little bit, get used to that. So just wanted to give that quick disclaimer in case you're hearing a little bit of overlapping and talking during this episode. But today I am playing Pebble Beach. I've played Pebble Beach before on the simulators, but this is the first time I've done it this year. I kind of mentioned how I'm playing rounds and courses a couple times, once from the regular tees and once from the reds. So this is just from the regular tees. Again, the goal of this series is every time I play the simulator, shoot between 12 and 18 over. As a high handicap golfer, I feel like that's a reasonable score. Plus, with me not putting, it gives a little wiggle room, because sometimes I'll put the ball really close and it'll say it's a 2-putt, but other times I'll stick it to 30 feet and it'll also say it's a 2-putt, and I probably would 3-putt that in real life. So just something to just briefly mention here as I'm going into this. But again, playing Pebble Beach on the simulator from the regular white tees. Got a few topics for today's episode. The weather's finally getting nicer outside. It's about mid-March now at the time I'm filming this episode, and one of the main topics and talking points for this episode of the series. Geez, I gotta figure out how I'm talking here. But one of the main talking points I have for this one is I just want to get thoughts from people. What do you think the difference between practice versus playing actual rounds? Do you think people get better by going out on the course and playing actual 18-hole or 9-hole rounds? Or do you think they get better by going to the driving range or going to a chip-in, the chipping area at a driving range, or hitting putts on the putting green? I feel like it's mixed. I feel like you hear people say a lot of times, you're just going to the range and beating balls, but you're not learning anything from any shots, which I think is very true. There's times when I go to the driving range and I won't even think. I'll just be hitting balls, and if I hit one really pure, the next time I go up and I do something different and I hit the ball, maybe a little slice or a little duff one or shank one, and I didn't learn anything between the two shots. I wasn't I really felt the connection of dropping the hands, really rotating through, making solid contact. But on the course, I feel like when I play actual rounds on the course, I lower my scores over time. So when I go to driving ranges, for example, if you're hitting off of mats, I feel like there's a different level there. Again, hitting at the simulator, the reason I don't putt, the reason why I don't take the scores that I have here too seriously is because I'm playing in perfect conditions. The ball is never sitting in a little divot, or you're never on a slope. Everything's always flat. But I feel like if you go to a public grass driving range, which there's a couple of those in my area, the problem with them is the condition of the driving range is you're hitting off of beat up rough on a poorly maintained course. The grass is kind of longer. They don't go in and roll it. They'll fill the divots and keep shifting it each week, so you're not hitting in the same spot all the time. But when they do that, they only fill it with sand. They don't go up there and roll it to make it nice and flat. So sometimes you gotta find sweet spots to hit from. Plus, I also feel range balls tend to be waterlogged, or they're just dead, so they don't pop and jump off the club as much. So at times I feel it's hard to work on distance. Distance control, because you're using not as good ball, you're using used balls, I should say, very used balls, but also if you're hitting off of a mat's different condition than like hitting out of a grass fairway. So I feel like there's definitely benefits. Like if I'm going to go to the driving range this summer, I'm going to be going there probably a decent amount. I'm going to work on like swing path, body rotation, consistency, like do the same setup and routine every time I step up to the ball, just like I've been trying to work on like every time I putt, which again, still working on the putting series, trying to get a bunch of them filmed and edited because it takes more time to film and edit those. And then I'll be dropping the 25 putt challenge that I have. I probably have like 15 or 20 of them already filmed at this point, but I mean, editing them takes longer to edit one of those than it does to make one of these podcast series episodes, just because I have to go in and keep cutting the video, and I mute it and I fast forward, like I speed up the sections where I'm like grabbing the next ball. But when I do the putting series, I work on the same routine. Ball, like I like to putt with the ball slightly towards the front of my stance. I like to keep my arms really straight, and I like to kind of rock more with the shoulders, kind of go straight back, straight forward, rather than doing like the arch or like the arced putting path. And focusing on that has really helped my putting. I'm definitely hitting better putts. I think later this week I'll be dropping my first episode of Outdoor Rounds in long form. I've posted a lot of clips of the holes I've played on YouTube Shorts and on TikToks, so that's something that I've already kind of done. And in those, I can already see an improvement in the putting and my consistency with putting. There's still times where I'm like blowing it past the hole or leaving it really short or, misreading one, but honestly, some of that is just the green conditions that I'm playing on, because the course that I played on twice now, it's not in the best condition. It's still early March, so there's still time for the course to get in better quality, but like one green will roll really fast, the next one will roll really slow, so it's hard to kind of gauge the conditions when each hole, the greens and everything, are rolling at a different pace. Plus there's a lot of imperfections in the green, so the ball's not like rolling smooth, it's kind of hopping. You hear a lot of people talk on like YouTube or on tour that the greens are very, like when you play like high level courses, the greens are very pure, and if you're missing putts, it's because you're misreading them or like missing with the pace. The ball isn't jumping as it goes to the hole. There's clips that I have of me putting and the ball hops the whole way to the hole, and I'm happy just to get it anywhere near the hole when it's kind of bouncing like that. But I feel like going to the range, working on, same routine every time. Maybe one half practice swing, set up, like walk up to the ball, set my distance for my legs, bringing out the alignment sticks, working on my alignment, like my positioning with the ball within my stance. And then when I translate it to the course, I don't want to be going through a bunch of thoughts in the head when I'm out on the course playing actual rounds. I don't want to be thinking about all of that. I want to go out and just be very relaxed, just go up, approach the ball, use the same routine, build that repetition, and then go out and, put together good swings and just hope that I'm hitting the ball with the same shot shapes that I'm hoping for. I typically play a fade, sometimes a slice, but I typically play that shot shape. And I would say it's towards the end of last year, and even the times in the simulator and so far in the rounds I've played outside this year, I've noticed I'm starting to like turn the ball over and hit a draw or like a hook now, and it makes it difficult if I don't have that consistent miss, because at the same time I don't know why sometimes I'm drawing it versus fading it. There are times where I definitely know when I just straight up like pull or push a shot, but I'm not talking about like a pull versus a push. Like sometimes I'll come through steep, hit the ball early in the swing, or have the ball too far back in the stance, and when I square the club up and hit it, I'm aiming directly left and just hitting a straight ball out to the left. I'm talking about like the ball starts straight and sometimes it'll fade right, or sometimes it'll fade or draw left. That's kind of the shot shape that I'm talking about. I'm still more often than not hitting fades unless I'm pulling the ball, but I feel like overall on the course, I tend to improve more in like actual situations. And I think the focus of me going to the driving range and playing will be, repetition, consistency, whether it's putting, chipping, driving, long irons, using the same routine, same setup. And I think that's the focus that I'm going to focus on when I go to the driving range. But yeah, I think overall I just wanted to get everyone's thoughts because, it was a topic that I've seen people talk about in the past, and you talk about like a lot of times pros, they'll go out and play multiple practice rounds. So you arrive at a tournament starts Thursday, Monday they're playing a practice round, Tuesday they're playing a practice round, Wednesday they're playing a practice round. I mean, they're hitting the driving range and stuff in there as well, and putting, chipping. But overall, they're spending most of their time playing the course, which kind of flows into it wasn't really like a topic, but that I had designated for this video, but something that I just wanted to talk about. I filmed on a Saturday. I filmed like 12 holes, and it was more than that. I think it was like 15 holes. The one hole I forgot to start the camera for like a couple of the shots, so I just deleted the other shots because I was like, I'm not gonna just like have like a half put together hole. And then I didn't realize it at the time, but like my phone when I was recording, it wasn't like going and like turning off. The screen was staying on, and it killed my battery, and my phone ended up dying with 2 holes left to play. So I only was able to film 15 of the 18 holes, but I went back the next day. It was a little nicer weather the next day, and I played another 9. And I'm going to put together this video comparing the difference between my first and second round, playing outside, playing the same course in the same weekend. I mean, it is a night and day difference, the performance I had. I mean, the first 9 holes on my first round on the Saturday that I went out and played, it was my first time playing outside. So that's, again, I've been hitting off of mats, perfect conditions at the simulator, and then going to outside, beat up fairways, dormant grass, greens are like carpets, and I described it, I think in another one of my videos I described it like if you've ever played basketball inside versus outside and you're like a shooter, the depth perception is very different when you don't have like a wall and gym and stands in the background. If you're shooting and it's just outdoor and there's just endless space behind the hoop, it's a depth perception. So I feel like when I was playing that first round outside, I was easily distracted. Like there was a lot of things to focus on, a lot of things going on around me, and I wasn't as focused as I needed to be. But after I think the first 9 holes, I shot like it was bad. I shot, I'm going to say like a 57 maybe, which typically I'm like in the high 40s for 9 right now. Sometimes lower, but like over the course of playing 18 holes, I typically shoot between 95 and 100. So I'm typically at that, 48. So I shot a 57, way higher than I wanted to be. But then on the back 9 of that same round, I shot a 44 or 45. I think it was a 45. I think I finished at like 102. So I think it was either 58 and 44 or 57 and 45. But I dropped like 12 strokes off of my back 9 just by getting into the groove playing. I then went out and played again the following day. And I think I shot like bogey golf. I think I was like 9 over through 9, which on a course that's their par 68, I don't know the breakdown front to back, so it would be 34 a side. I would have shot like a 43 in that front 9, and like that's a really good 9 for me right now with where I'm at. I'm hoping to shoot that more consistently, and I think I'll be there during this season of playing. Again, trying to get out there and play more, and that's really the focus, is just, consistently playing. You hear people talk about it, like I've seen some videos of like good videos. Brad Dawkey when he played Grant Horvat, a couple other ones where they were like, I took off and didn't play for like the whole month of December, And the first thing to usually go is your like touch shots, is your 50-yard shots, is your pitching and chipping around the green, your putting. Like the driving and long irons, like that typically takes a little more time to fade when you're getting back into it, or it takes less time to really dial those clubs in. And I feel that, like, my goal is to play consistently outside, try to get out maybe once a week throughout the whole summer, because I played a handful, maybe like 2 summers ago. I was going like a lot, and I'm gonna start filming the 5-for-7 series again. And when I was playing that, when I was out doing the 5-for-7 holes, towards the end, I was like getting close to shooting par, like 1 or 2 over through 5 holes. The goal of that series is to shoot par on the 5 holes. And I was getting close to shooting par. And it's because my chipping and putting were really dialed in at that point. I was putting everything within like maybe 8 to 10 feet, giving myself good opportunities for 1 putts, occasionally 2 putts, but it was helping to keep low scores on the card and just get a lot of pars. So that's a big focus this year. But hole 16 here, I think I'm like 9 over, just to briefly touch on the round. The first 9 holes of the simulator, it was not trending well, and I hit a really hot streak here on the back half where I had a lot of pars in a row. Trying to wait for the scorecard's going to come after my next shot, but I was really trending towards like shooting over that 18, that plus 18 that I wanted to like cap myself at on these rounds. But I think I hit like a decent stretch starting at the end of the front 9 and then the midway through the back, like most of the back 9. Yeah, you can kind of see there. I have some like I have some high scores in those first few holes, but then they really like leveled off. But with only a few minutes left here, figured jump into the more of the fun topic, but it's just kind of more of a question, and I think I'm going to start the next episode with this one as well, just because I think it deserves a little bit more than 2.5 minutes. But it's about the rollback rule and like golf tech. I saw someone talking about it, and they laid out a chart, and they said that the problem isn't the technology, because the technology in our clubs hasn't really increased that much since like maybe 2010. But what's changed is the people and the level of athletes that are playing golf now. You always think back to John Daly being like, he's like, what's the course record? Give me a beer and a cigarette, and I'm going to jump out on the first tee with no practice swings. Now you have guys like Bryson DeChambeau like using science to perfect their swing and make it as effective as possible. You have guys working out in the gym, stretching, trainers. Like, they're pure athletes now that are playing. They're stronger. They're hitting the ball further. It's just like with any other sport. You think about football, they had to do a lot of adjustments with helmets and headgear and safety, player safety, because players are getting bigger and faster and stronger, and they're hitting harder. In the NBA, they're talking about, do they move back to three-point line? Like, what do they do with defense? Because guys are pulling up from 40 feet now and knocking down threes like it's nothing. It's just, as the game evolves, you have to do things maybe to change it. And one of the things they're talking about, I was like reading it a little bit before I started this, but the golf rollback, they're talking about they still haven't decided, but the goal is for 2028 and then 2030 for recreational golf. I think I'm going to pick up the beginning of the next episode talking about this topic, so please tune into that next week if you want to hear more. But I just want to hear your thoughts. Is the golf rollback rule and like golf tech, has it gone too far? Like, do we need to do other things to make the golf course more challenging rather than doing like dead balls, like deadening the balls, or less tech in the clubs? I would like to see more challenging golf courses. I think back to Oakmont, U.S. Open last year, and the winner was 1 under. There's only one player that shot under par, and that's because the greens were ridiculously fast, the fairways were narrow, the rough was thick. So I think that should be the approach. But anyways, wrapping up here, I ended up, again, shooting under the 18, which I was happy about, but Thank you for tuning in.